Nice. Hey everyone, welcome back to Colony Pit, where we catch up with our old colony friends and alumni, and we have a part two guest on here, Matt Hallock, who's joining us for another session of the Colony Pit. Pat, I'll turn it over to you. I think I took all your stuff, man. I apologize.
That's
Who's
okay,
rolling?
John. That's all right. All 10 of our subscribers aren't going to mind, I don't think. So we'll be okay. So yeah, in part one, we talked about Maddie's upbringing, where he lived, his high school years, getting recruited to play at Mount St. Mary's College in downstate New York. And he had a great career there. And Matt, was there anything you wanted to just kind of finish out regarding your college years or anything? It sounds like you had a great experience socially, athletically, and anything else?
Yeah, it was again, it's so hard to say. Like, yeah, there's obviously challenges, and you're going through some cognitive development, and you're away from home, living on your own. But the college was conducive to what I needed from a social aspect, educationally. Small classrooms, about the size. I actually graduated more at Colonie. We all graduated more with Colonie than I did my graduating class at the Mount. So I needed that specialized attention in the classroom. I could not be in a lecture hall. I struggled in school, but had Virginia Davison, my mentor there, was huge in my development and being able to lock in to be a student athlete, like a student first athlete, and then enjoying all the social aspects of college. Like I just had, again, a great career. You kind of knew everybody that was on campus. You knew we were tight knit from a sports aspect and all the other athletes, men's and women's, and then we knew a lot of the student body because it was the size of our high school Colonie that we went to. So great experience. I took 5 years to graduate. I got my degree in, surprisingly enough, communications, public relations, and media studies. Dual major. Went undrafted after my senior year eligibility, and then my 5th year I signed a professional independent contract with the Huntingtonburg Dragons in southern Indiana, which was an experience in and of itself.
Nice.
Wow. So before we jump there, I was just curious, and we had some other Colony alum on who played at the level you played at. And I'm always curious, just to hear from folks that actually played at that. Like, what is the mindset, like the mental game from high school until you come up to college and you step on there, because now you're playing with the best of the best of the best. And now you realize, in order to actually, like you said, to actually get on the field, like your mental toughness, awareness has to be at a level. I mean, could you talk about that?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually do workshops at University of South Florida around this. It's a whole different aspect. Unless you're going to an extremely high level private high school, the transition to college from not a physical aspect, that's a whole nother segment, just the mental aspect of preparedness. Like that was the biggest thing, is what is the focus when you're in the weight room? What is the focus when you're at practice? What is the focus pre-game? What is the focus post-game? How are you dissecting and self-assessing? And are you trainable and coachable and can accept criticism? It was really, it was a lot easier for me because of my upbringing, and I had my father, right? Everybody doesn't have a Dick Hallock coach to kind of train them and prepare them for it. So some kids struggled. Some kids struggled with not being the best player on the team when they were the best player the whole time.
Yeah.
And they were very not the best teammates in practice, on the bench, in games, all the things when you're traveling, sleeping in hotel rooms and living with your teammates. But yeah, it's a whole nother level, the mental side. And that's why, I mean, I'm partnered with a company, and we're going to be doing some development with coaches and youth athletes on mental preparation and how to handle a lot of the noise, especially nowadays. But even back then, it's a lot. You got to prepare, you got to self-educate, you got to have outlets, mentors, people to talk to, listen to. It's a different level. And then from college ball to pro ball, that's a whole nother beast from a mental aspect.
Talk to us a little bit, because I do want to spend some time on kind of what you got going on now, which I know is a ton of stuff. But just real quickly, tell us a little bit about your pro baseball experience, playing in a independent league or team in Huntington, Indiana. What
Oh,
was that
Jesus.
like?
So this is a great story. I can kind of summarize it in probably about 30 seconds because it's a part of my quote unquote elevator pitch when I intro myself and network with people. So went out there, drove my 91 Chevy Beretta GT Red from Albany, New York to Southern Indiana. The team, I signed a 1-year contract. We had about 3.5 weeks of practice before season started in the summer. This was after I graduated in May, so it started about mid-June. And got out there. I was one of the smallest in size on my team. At the time, I was playing collegiate like 5'9", about 185 pounds, just solid. I was one of the smallest players on my team. And from exit velocity, like strength throwing, I was one of the weakest. So right away, you're like, wow, this is a whole nother level of ball. But I could still hit. I could still get on base, and I didn't make too many mistakes on the bases, and I could field really well. So I was set up to get some playing time, not start. 2 days before the season starts, in warm-ups, I tear my rotator cuff in 2 spots. Lucky enough, I had an injury clause in my contract, so I sat down with the doctors, physical therapists, the GM, our head coach. They would either sign me for another year, pay for my PT, and I would come back the next summer. Or I could take half of my contract, and I took half of the contract and I bought an engagement ring and a jet ski. And I drove my car back to Albany, New York. But the really cool story was the experience. The home field that we played on is where they shot A League of Their Own. So Madonna, Tom Hanks,
nice.
Rosie O'Donnell, that was the field that our home field was. So the locker room, the dugouts, like that, I got to experience that as a player. And they had a shrine in the like concession bowels of the stadium area that we used to get 100 to 300 people during practices just because of the movie. And I would sign autographs until the last kid left because I knew how impactful that was for that kid and being in part of that experience. The ball was worth more than my name. But it's a cool story. But that ended my like playing career, which I'm now resuscitating, and I'm competing again in 3 weeks from now. But yeah, that was my professional story. 3 weeks of practice, tear my rotator cuff, injury clause. I was out, jet ski, engagement ring, and I started my professional corporate career.
Wow. Hey, something, you said something, and I got to ask, what was it like? I know we're kind of going backwards, but you just said something with League of Their Own. What was it like being inside Yankee Stadium, actually, when you're in the locker room there where the Yankees, like, what was that? Plus the history that was in that stadium. What was that like?
Yeah, the access that we had to that stadium as all state players was all access. So we had access to the locker room. This was my freshman year and my junior year. So freshman year, I was 18 years old. I went into college at 17 years old. So I was only 18 in the spring when we played, and I was a tried and true New Yorker, man. I was a Yankee fan. Dave Winfield, Righetti, Mattingly was my hero growing up, Willie Randolph, all those guys. So to be in there as a young Yankee fan playing in the stadium, we got to hit in the right field, under the right field bleachers. A lot of I'll pull the curtain back real quick, John. So if you walk in the dugout, the closest to the base so you have the walkout of the dugout towards the batter's box. They also have a walkout onto the field from the closest to the first base. Right there is to the tunnel. Now to the right, if you're going through the tunnel from the dugout, from the field, and you're walking towards the tunnel, towards the locker room, immediately to the right is a bathroom. There's 2 urinals and 2 stalls, no doors. And the inside the bathroom is the padding of the outfield, the blue wall, and then they have a TV. Immediately to the left is a 10 by 10 foot room that's a hitting sock that has a bucket of balls and 2 tees that you can hit in. And then you walk down to the end of the hallway, take a left, and you're right into the Yankee locker room. You take a right, you're into the visiting locker room behind home plate. So that was an experience. I was 4 for 8 with 2 doubles and a triple at Yankee Stadium, 4 RBIs and 5 runs scored, and I was 0 for 8 at Shea Stadium with 4 strikeouts.
And what was Shea? Yeah, and I was gonna say, what was Shea Stadium like? Not so much of the grandiose, or the '86 Mets there.
Yeah, and I had that video still. That 86 Amazing Mets VHS. If you don't have it, go buy one. It's on eBay. It's a great freaking tape. Um, I'm going to get burned for this, but I've said it to a couple of people. The infield itself, the playing surface at Shea Stadium was nicer than Yankee Stadium, as far as how.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah, and I'm talking old Shea Stadium and old Yankee Stadium. The
Don't
infield.
go back to New York. Don't go
I
back to New York with
I'm
the
just going
comment.
to
Yeah.
fly into
That's gonna
the.
be
I'll stay in Queens.
that's a YouTube short right there. Whew.
Yeah, but
All right.
flip that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I could not see the ball. I struck out 4 times, 3 times
Okay.
looking in my 8 appearances at Shea Stadium. But I hit 2 off the wall in Yankee Stadium.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
All right. So let's speed up the time machine a little bit here. We've got a lot of time to cover, but tell us how did you end up in Florida? Because it sounds like you've been there for a while. And tell us about all, I don't know if you can even tell us about all the stuff going on, but tell us about some of the big stuff you got
Okay.
going on. I feel like every day you got something new going on, but I
Yeah.
want to hear all about Hallocks hitting garage and all the big stuff. So how did you get to Florida and what do you have going on these days?
Yeah, so transition to Florida happened in 2004. So we're coming up on our 20-year anniversary here in Florida, or in the Tampa Bay area, or South Tampa, or south of Tampa. So I was at the time living in New Jersey. I was managing rental branches for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I was a young business entrepreneur, leading and managing young business entrepreneurs under the Enterprise Rent-A-Car banner. My wife was an educator. We owned a townhome that we bought for $99,000 in Jackson, New Jersey, in Monmouth County, about 15, 20 minutes from the Jersey Shore, Six Flags, if you guys as a reference point. We went through a spell in 2003 from October to February where the sun physically was out in the sky 5 times. And I know this because I went to a doctor because I became irritable. I wasn't a good fiance. I was not a very good leader of young professionals. I wasn't the friend I was to my friends. I was very irritable, and people started calling me out. So I went to a doctor and they said, "You have weather depression." And I was like, "What the are you talking about?" And they looked up a chart, and that was the diagnosis. It was the sun was only out about 5 or 6 times in full form. So
Yeah.
immediately, my wife and I looked at Arizona and Tampa and Florida. Arizona was too far. My in-laws just moved to Hollandale, north of Miami. We looked at Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Miami. And Tampa had everything that my wife and I wanted. So they put a New Jersey Transit bus line in front of our townhome development, which was a beeline to Port Authority. Our property went up to 250,000. We sold our townhome in 24 hours, and we moved to Tampa.
Wow.
We built our family home that I'm sitting in right now.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Cool. That's quite the
That's
story.
a,
Wow. I have heard of I've never heard of it termed as weather depression. I've heard of the what they call it up here, like seasonal depression disorder. I don't know if it's all the same, but bottom line is you needed some sun, and it seems to have worked. So we'll just
yeah. That
we'll
big
take it
thing
for
in
what
the
it's
sky,
worth.
man, I tell you, there's a reason people move and retire. That giant thing in the sky, from a mental neuro standpoint, it has a lot to do with happiness.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, if you don't like your situation, move. Like,
All right.
yeah,
So
that was it, man.
so
That was it.
so tell us a little bit about Hallock's Hitting Garage. How did that all get started, and what are you doing with that?
Oh, good God, where do I start? So 2014 to 2019, my 2013, my daughter won the Florida State Championship for Little League in softball as an all-star. It was the first time in the league's 35-year history that a baseball or softball team won a state championship, and they won. The parents immediately, I wasn't a coach on that team. I was just a fan. The parents immediately were like, "Let's play travel ball." And I said, "Oh my God, they have no idea what they're getting into." So I joined the staff when the girls were 9 years old in 13. And the team went on a run over a 1.5 year period and was winning every A-level tournament in Florida. We were then traveling into Georgia, Alabama. And then we got a call by the Orange County Bat Busters, which is led by Mike Stith, one of the top travel fast pitch organizational coaches in the country. And his teams have beelines to all the SEC teams. And he was expanding his brand to the East Coast because he just got picked up as the head professional coach for the women's professional team in Melbourne, Florida. And he wanted to start the Batbusters on the East Coast. And he called me. So we were the first independent local team to sign with the Batbusters. And now the Batbusters have about 35 teams along the Eastern Seaboard. And then I went on a run as the hitting assistant coach on a nationwide tour with, they were 12, 13, and 14 at the time. And then my name was developed as the hitting guy through the fast pitch realm. All those girls graduated out, went into high school. We stopped travel ball. COVID hits in 2021. And I start getting hit up for virtual lessons. And I was doing about 50 to 70 a week at no cost. I was just giving back to people. And I was doing 50. I had about 7 different countries across the globe that I was doing instruction for, just like this, just talking, biomechanics, do these drills based on what I can see. And that's where the garage started, really, from that, and then spiraled into entertainment, philanthropy, give back, bringing in uniqueness to different events and music. In whatever city that we hit and have a camp, we would dump money or raise awareness for different causes. And now I'm just webbed so deep into the baseball and fast pitch realm, and I'm with some really, really cool organizations and companies and brands through Hallocks Hitting Garage. It's a physical space, but the garage is basically me and my father, just tools that we give back, and you can use to make things a little bit easier for youth development. But yeah, now I'm with just Major League Baseball, major colleges through baseball and softball, different brands. It's super cool. And I just started, it's me and my family and my friends, really. That's it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then we're bringing in some power athletes now, power female athletes in baseball that are under the brand helping me. And we travel. We're going on tour. We're up in Albany in January. We're going to be in Philadelphia, WrestleMania, doing some stuff. We're going to be in Texas, California. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Speaking of friends, talk to me about what you got going on with our boy Bobby Fish. I see the Facebook post. I see stuff about WrestleMania. What do you and my man got going on?
So Bobby and I have been connected for a while. Bobby played at Siena, was a linebacker. It's where my father played at college. So Bobby's resonated with my family for a long period of time as a West Albany kid, like myself, on that side of Colonie. When he went professional wrestling, we stayed, pretty close, just near and far, like we all do. And then the last couple of years, once he moved to Florida, I was close. I was one of the few that are Colonie kids that was that close to him that lived in Florida. We got Negrini that's down here. But it was really myself that resonated from an athletic standpoint with Bobby. And then his transition out of NXT, WWE to AEW to the independent circuit, it really set up conducive to really leverage myself. And I'm a weapon when it comes to sales and marketing and networking, and optimization and project management, all of that, because I do it professionally. So November, October, we talked. In December, I could put it out there. The news medias already know I'm acting as Bobby's agent. So we're all the bookings, everything he's doing, the different brands that he's now with, him and I are collaborating, spearheading, and I'm driving all that for him now.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun. It's an interesting world, but I play well in it. I set up very, very well with my background to be a very good advocate for my friend and look out for his best interest, and bring some really cool companies to the table for him, and do a lot of things that other professional wrestlers don't even or can't even do. I just get them in the room and I close deals for them.
Nice.
Wow. Colonie boys make good. Hey, something real quick. So I was bored during COVID like everyone else, and I had my Xbox there, and I started, looking to play games. And I think this was like a year ago, 2 years ago. I bought a wrestling game because I had some kind of nostalgia back to, I was a young man, and I put it in and I'm playing it, and I have no fear. I still play video games at my age because it's fun. But I had wrestling on there, and I'm scrolling through, and there's Bobby Fish, and I actually stopped. Yeah, I actually stopped. I'm like, are you kidding me? And
I
then you
know.
look at it though. I mean, if you look at it, there's like Ric Flair. There's
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan.
yeah.
There's Bobby Fish.
Bobby Fish.
So
Yeah, yeah. Man,
it
I
is.
mean, if you don't know Bobby and Rex, some of us know him better than most.
Yeah,
That's a character, like that's him genuinely,
yeah,
but it's professional wrestling. The man behind that is as genuine and as nice as a human being can be, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a friend and I'm his whatever I am booking agent. He is just an unbelievable human, and that's why he's transitioning at this point in his career and has a unique skill set similar to me as a coach of early career talent. DDP is he's given Bobby the reins as a lead instructor under dynamic resistance at DDP Yoga, and we're going to be going on tour doing that for Diamond Dallas Page. But I've gotten Bobby in the room, and he's done it on himself, where he is one of the specialists when it comes to early career talent, the Shakespearean side of wrestling, the promos, and then biomechanically in the ring. So you're going to see a lot of Bobby in the next couple of years as one of the lead trainers within professional wrestling, which is kind of cool.
wow.
And then you'll see this guy behind doing all the talent development on, what does the emails look like? How do I professionally network? How do I represent the brand? So him and I become weapons jointly for the industry and early career development for WWE and AEW.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bobby's on our radar too. I've already exchanged some messages with him, and we're gonna get him on here at some point. Tell us a little bit about the book you got going on, if you can. I don't know if it's too soon. I know you've kind of hinted at it and put some things out there. Tell us a little bit about the book you got going on, and then maybe we'll wrap up with some closeout Colonie questions for you.
Yeah, very cool. So homage and tribute to Colonie. My father was a master storyteller. It was his gift in communication and rapport building and connecting with people, is he could tell a good story. So I always listened to all of that stuff, not knowing, right? And I became one myself. I was just real blessed growing up in the environment I grew up in because of my family, my mother, my father, sports, the neighborhoods, the community, Colonie itself as a whole, that I just have a lot of good stories. So about 5 years ago, I started writing those stories down and came to the conclusion that I was going to self-publish children's early reader picture books, like bring parents together with their kids that are just learning to read. It brings parents, siblings, mothers, fathers, whatever, with their children, and just tell my stories of Colonie. That's literally all I'm doing in an 18 to 20 page book. The first book is a tribute to one of my favorite memories, which was playing wiffle ball on my property at 320 Sand Creek Road with the neighborhood kids. And not knowing, and it wasn't the target at the time, it was just going to be a tribute to that. But then I went down the rabbit hole with a good friend of mine who's an author and an agent with a publishing house. And I want to keep her private and out of it. But she said, did you ever look up if there's wiffle ball book, like a wiffle ball published book that's a cartoon book and approved, trademarked by wiffle ball? And I said, no, I didn't even think about it. So we did a Google search for about 30 minutes, and there's not one children's, there's not a cartoon style book made by wiffle ball or any kind of author that has been signed off by wiffle ball. But now there is. You're looking at a Matt Hallocks, went through their legal team, went through the Mulaney family out of Connecticut, through 3 generations with, a top Hall of Fame American toy in the ball and the bat. And I'm going to be the only wiffle ball children's book ever released, with the blessing, with the trademark, the likeness, with the wording. So look out. It was just going to be, a book for family and friends, maybe do a little bit of damage, a couple hundred books. So it has traction to do hundreds of thousands, and across not only America, where they sell every wiffle ball. So over in Europe, Japan, Mexico, Australia. So and this is book 1 of the series. So the characters will be developed to the second release of the book, which is going to be Thrills and Chills of Sand Creek Hill. me and my friend sleigh riding on Sand Creek Hill is the book number 2.
Wow.
So, but the wiffle ball book's going to be big. It's going to be a tribute to Colonie. It's going to be a tribute to that property because it's such a landmark, and it's got the backing and the power of a wiffle ball now too.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I know.
Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. Congratulations. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I have an illustrator out of San Francisco that I'm working with. We'll release him when the time comes, but he's a New Yorker. He's from the Rochester, Syracuse kind of area. So we have ties there. He had a willow tree in his yard growing up in New York. I had a willow tree on 328. He played wiffle ball too in upstate New York. So he's illustrating the book. I wrote it. I'm going to publish it under my own publishing house, and Wiffle Ball is already in council for them, has already approved it. And we're going to drop it soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to let us know. I mean, we'll push it out here from our end too. I mean, that'll be a Colony must-have. It'll be a Colony must-have to have that, and you're going to have to prove it too. So we'll have a drinking game out of this. If you don't prove it, you have to do a shot. So we can do it that way. So wait, so one more thing too. I noticed Pat was telling me about you guys were back in Colonie. I guess you guys have more stuff going on because you were back in Colonie at a basketball game, and that's where Rex was telling me that they were making this historic run, and Bobby was up there, and I think the next day you guys were at Colonie Center, and I think there was a wrestling match going on.
Yeah.
But what was that about?
So back in August, I love Colonie. I like going back up. I'm the weirdo. I like going up. I'm looking for a second. I'm the one that has a property in Tampa, Florida, and I'm going to be buying a home up in Colonie, whatever. But so I'm like, you know what? I want to get everybody together. I knew at the time, and I've been talking to Joey Shamarky. I'm like, this team's got an opportunity to make a little bit of run. And Rex and I know how much fun it is for not only the athletes, but the entire school, the faculty, the community. When any sports team at that high school makes a little bit of run, and no disrespect to any of the other sports, but if it's football or basketball, they're going to get some backing, and there's a different vibe in the hallway. Like the people that don't talk to each other, if you're on a run, they're talking to each other. There's a buzz, there's an energy throughout the school from the time the bell rings till nighttime. So they were doing that, and I'm like, or they had an opportunity. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start posting on my social. Let's all just go to the game. Like everybody, I don't care if you're 94, 84, 04. Let's go to the game and support the team. Let's have a little bit of fun. Then it started picking up traction, and I'm like, Jesus, well, let me do something else. So at the time, I was working and training with Jesse Warren, who's 2018 national champion, Florida State, World Series MVP, professional athlete. It's her, Derek Brooks, and Deion Sanders as a three-headed monster out of Florida State. So I was training her or with her. So I said, would you want to come up and we'll do a camp up in Albany? I have a big network. We'll do a couple softball camps. At the time, the Nicholson family, Angie Nicholson and Rick Nicholson, are the head coaches and assistant coaches at Georgia State University softball. Their daughter Taylor was in a gap year who just came out of Arizona State and needed like a mentor that wasn't her parents. And I was the person. So I was doing talent development for Taylor and getting her ready to be recruited coming out of the portal. So I was like, do you want to come? And then I called Bobby and I said, like, let's do a tribute. Let's get you there. So I just project managed this whole weekend of Colonie fun. And I'm just blessed. And the whole team, myself, Bobby, Taylor, Jesse, everybody under the garage banner that's helped out. It was just a great time. The community came together. They supported everything. People laughed. They connected. The impact that we've had, myself, Jesse, and Taylor, for the EC Bombers. I mean, the 70 athletes we did up in Glens Falls, the 50 that we did for Capital District Fusion, just the impact that we did in the community in a short period of time. It goes to show you that it can happen all the time. So it was a cool little weekend. Rex, I got to see Pat, a lot of different people. There was people at the game, and I was so busy with business and whatnot. I didn't get to really shake hands and see everybody that I could, but there was a lot of people in that gym that normally aren't in that gym for regular games. And then you had Bobby Fish out in the hallway doing meet and greet, signing, taking pictures. Like it was really, really fun day. Yeah. And then he was at the Town Belt game after. We were driving around. We were on the radio show with Gaz and Levesque at the chili cook-off. We were doing charity stuff there. We dumped a bunch of money, and the checks come into the eye care project with Colonie Athletics, the special ed department. We're working with the pediatric cancer ward of Albany Medical Center. And I gifted the Oculus headset and Win Reality virtual reality decision making to the varsity baseball team. So they have that weapon as a tool to help make decisions better at the plate, where they can see 200 pitches in a 10-minute window. So they're going to be one of the top decision making, hopefully hitting teams in the Suburban Council this year. And you're only going to be as good as the pitches you don't swing at, and that tool is going to help them. So yeah, that weekend was fun. It was just fun. It was a lot of work behind the scenes. People don't understand it from a PM standpoint, but it all worked out and people had a good time.
Yeah,
so, dude, that's
you did
awesome.
A great job.
Thanks.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, so Pat, we're going to create the first ever Mount Rushmore of Colonie Central, and I nominate Matt Hallock to be on one of the Mount Rushmore. But dude, for everything you're doing, for the folks back in Colonie, man, I can't thank you enough. That is awesome work, and obviously, if we can help in any way, please let us. I mean, that's good for you, man. That is awesome. Like I said, I look back at my life and I'm like, man, I'm doing nothing. Matt Hallock now has set the bar up here, and I'm
No, the biggest thing is the biggest thing I can say is came to this realization probably pretty much when my father was transitioning. I was living in the ICU for 3.5 weeks, and I was close with my father. I got really close with him when he was transitioning and passing on. But one of the last things he said, it was 2 days before he passed away. One of the last things he said, and I don't tell the story much, but we'll get it out through the pit here. He said, I need you to come back to, and I was living in Florida. I came up and lived there for a month and a half. He said, I need you to come back to the community. I need you to impact it. And I was like, okay. I was like, what do you want me to do? And that was it. He was like, I'm not going to tell you. I just need you to impact the youth in some way. You're going to figure it out. And all I wanted to, like, the poor guy was transitioning and he was beat up. And I just want him to tell me what to do because I was just going to do it. But he's like, you'll figure it out. So everything that you've seen me impacting that area is because my father told me to do it when he was transitioning. And this is just the start of it. Like, I got more things behind the scenes. I'm doing career readiness with Colonie High School. I'm going to be up there frequently impacting in large scales individuals that are juniors and seniors. They want to get into entrepreneurism. They want to get into public service, or they want to go to college. I'm going to provide master classes and how that looks for them and help their preparedness to transition out. I'm going to get the alumni involved in mentorship programs and helping our students of South Colonie when they get to high school and figuring out pathways of just a better way than figure it out on your own. They do a great job. Tremendous programs that Tom Cacciadorian has built there. I'm just going to accelerate it and going to need the help of all the alumni to do that. So that's more to come. And then youth sports, I just look out what I'm going to be doing with the programs and the facilities.
All right. Great job. Yeah, I echo what John was saying. Like I said, I opened part one up. There's no one more Colonie than you. So that's the most respect I can give you. But wrapping up here, John, let's hit him with our closing out Colonie questions if we can. Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah. So here we go, Matt. And Pat, I'm just gonna jump around, just go wherever I miss. So Matt, here's the first one. What game console is in your house? Atari, Nintendo, ColecoVision, and Television, Jaguar, or my all-time favorite, Sega Genesis? And Matt, the answer here will determine if our friendship continues or not.
So, really? Jesus, that's a tough one.
Yeah, choose wisely, my friend.
Wisely. If I was choosing what I think you're going to say, I'm not going to say the one that I actually use most frequent. The one is my favorite because I don't think it is what you use. But I was a Nintendo kid, man. I freaking loved Nintendo. I love Nintendo. Linicry had the Sega, and we got to play some cool games over there. But yeah, Nintendo all day. We still have one. I have one here in my house.
All right,
nice.
Cool. It's back. Well, let's say it's back in 1994. You need a new pair of sneakers. Are you going to Foot Locker or Herman's?
Oh,
Yeah, I heard that in a while. That's a
Yeah,
great question,
this is an
Rex.
old
Great
school
question.
podcast, Maddie. We go back.
The Pit, I love it. God, I want to go back in that gym too. I was a Foot Locker kid.
All right.
I was a Foot Locker kid. Good question though. That's a
nice.
great question.
All right.
All right, so this one will be we'll just classify as video games and toys. Where are we going to find you at? Toys R Us, KB Toy Store, or Dwayne's Toyland?
Oh man, three great options. I lived in Toys R Us across from Colony Center behind Trustco Bank. I was there. All the Star Wars figures, all the GI Joes. My first Voltron, I still have it. My parents bought me in like '86. That's worth like $500 right now. That store was freaking great. I miss Jeffrey. I love Toys R Us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Favorite radio station back in the day. This is a big one. 90.9, 88.3, or 92.3.
Jesus, I flip flopped. It depended on who I was riding with. So we earlier in the first segment, there was two crews that were in the automobiles of Matt Hallock. I rolled mostly with Fly 92 though.
Wow.
I did a lot of 88 though. At the hip hop side, it depended the time of the year.
Time of day, really.
Time of day,
Time of
too,
day,
you're right.
too. Like 88 didn't come. Well, I mean, it was on all day, but the hip hop didn't come on until like late afternoon, evening.
Yeah.
But you're right. If it was like 10 in the morning, you weren't listening to 88.3. But
no, no, I wasn't rolling with 88.3 on the way to school.
No.
Yeah, it was a great question. Oh God, these are great questions.
Well, on that note, like I said, well, one, Matt, definitely come back. I mean, everything that you have going on is tremendous. And if we can help spread the word and actually get more people aware and actually the rest of our colony friends involved to help you on this journey, please let us know. Same thing, anything Rex and I can do to help push your vision going forward. You said a lot of great things, and it's kind of, just thinking now, it's kind of wish that we had when we were in high school. But again, thank you for being a tremendous guest. I'll leave it with Rex to close us out.
Yeah, Maddie, thanks for coming on. It was great to see you, about a month or two ago at the Mug. I think that was the first time we saw each other, literally, maybe since high school, possibly.
Yeah, awesome.
I said to myself, like, how did that happen? How have I not seen this kid ever since high school? But it happens. But I appreciate you putting all that together. What you got going on is great. And just a reminder to everyone watching the Colonie Pit, please punch that subscribe button and help us keep this show going. So with that, stay tuned for more great alumni from the land of the garnet and gold. Peace out.
See ya.